Welcome to my July garden. Today it's July the 8th, and you may notice, if you've kept up with me any at all, that I've moved furniture, which is probably my favorite thing to do. I just haven't done a lot of it in my yard until recently, but this is what's happening. I decided I needed more room here, so I used a little bit of the furniture over there to put some shade plants in pots. And the topiary there, I felt like it was a necessity. It's a magnolia in a pot. And if you watch any of Bunny Guinness she's an English gardener, that's one of her favorite things to do, is to do topiaries in pots. Linda Vader does topiaries in pots as well, but Bunny Guinness saws with a real saw, I want to tell you, the bottom out of pots. And so she puts those bottomless pots about her garden with her topiaries in them so that the roots can get down to the soil. So I hope you're hearing the birds in this video. Notice my 4 seasons over there, but something else you may notice is that the roses have been moved. They were not doing well over there. There was not enough sun over there. So my David Austen roses over there on the left-hand side between the 4 seasons have been moved. Whereas these David Austen roses, planted right here by the patio, have been cut back a lot. There's salvia planted in front of them, and they seem to be flourishing. I noticed today that crepe myrtle had planted a baby right there in front of it, so I'm debating whether to leave that crepe myrtle there or dig it up and maybe take it to the cemetery where Joe and I will be one day. And there's my gazebo, and those roses continue to bloom well, and that hydrangea seems to love that spot. I did plant a new viburnum there behind it because I thought it would be really pretty to have a snowball tree in that area along with the magnolias. Now that was one of the first things that we did when we moved into this house, was plant more magnolias along the back to give us more shade, and also perhaps give our neighbors, Emery and Beth Waddell, a bit of a break so they don't have to look in my windows all the time. If you notice those cushions back there, they're new. That's one reason I moved the sofa and stuff, and that's because I wanted to get box cushions. I'm going to be having a knee replacement on the 24th of July, which is 2.5 weeks. And getting up and down, even though it's really good exercise, is kind of a challenge at the moment. So I wanted those box cushions to help me out there. Looking forward to feeling a lot better. You see that elephant ear back there? I think it needs to be moved. So I'm going to move it, and I think I'm going to plant a bunch of this Mexican petunia that's over there in the shade where it's not getting any sun out there a little bit, because that does get more dappled sun anyway. The Japanese magnolia is wonderful. My vitex tree is not blooming now, but boy, the birds love it, the bees love it, I love it. And then of course, look at that pretty white crepe myrtle. Can you see the blooms up there? Right at the top. I planted it too much in the shade, I think, but okay, back around here. So this is a Constant Gardener, one of David Austen's roses, and looks like it's about to burst into bloom there. As you can see, I'm getting a little breeze here. It feels really good, especially since I'm very hot. Well, because I've been out here edging a bed. But look at this beautiful, well, the way this potato vine and the petunia, the Super Vista petunia, have bloomed. Isn't that wonderful? I think that's, I can't remember what the purple flower is there. I thought it was salvia, but it's not. Maybe Veronica or, I can't remember. And as you see, this is where I keep my tools because they're handy here. And my newly planted soil is a bit uneven. They're going to come in and put some sand down in there to make it better for me to walk, but it hasn't been done yet. So right over here is kind of a Mediterranean look. We've got Creeping Jenny there that just fell out of a pot and established itself. We've got Mexican heather there. I also planted a lantana over there, and it's still getting started. And I planted another Mexican petunia, Mexican heather today. Look at the beautiful caladium that my grandson George planted for me. And then that's an olive tree, of course, and a plumbago underneath it. And look at that beautiful salvia there. Can't tell you the name of it, but it sure is pretty. I put my iris over here and have tried to keep them secured because the animals love to walk over them. And this is it's a camellia, but it's the kind with that gets the humongous blooms. It had the prettiest big blooms you've ever seen. All right, now I want to show you over here. This is where I planted like 3 or 4 little bags of packs of zinnias because they were my grandmother Burson's favorite flower. And as soon as I did, well, I guess we had already dug it up because we dug up it was a mass of some kind of wispy, grassy like thing that just was kind of spooky because I don't know, it might have been where the snake that I saw the other day originally lived, and now he's moved somewhere else and was peeking at me near the steps. And that's the reason I bought some snake be gone. Did it work? I don't know. But anyway, so we had big rain. You can see there's a spout right there. It puddled, and I thought, oh my goodness, my zinnias are drowned. But I don't think they did get drowned. I think they're actually peeking up there. So every day I come out and I look to see what do I have growing. And you know what I see there? I did plant an elephant ear bulb down there, and you know what I think? I think I see it coming up there. I also transplanted some border grass to edge it, give it an edge. And I did this little path so that I would have better access to the water, not tumble over or have to go through a flower bed or whatever. So that's why that is there. That canna right over there that's leaning over used to be pretty yellow. Now you'll notice in this bed, it's kind of a different bed now. I planted a whole bunch of seedlings, and I remember showing them to you in a different video. But the seedlings kind of got to looking weedy and snaky, and I decided that was not the look I wanted. I needed more backbone over here, more foundation look. So I have planted 2 reticulata camellias. That's the one I was trying to tell you. And if you look at this leaf, you see right there, that's why it's called a reticulata. But the blooms on these things are huge. And so I planted 2 more over there. One is a Frank Hauser. I had bought one before that died. I'm hoping this one will do better because it's in a different spot. And I brought 3 sasanquas. Now they're all camellias, but they're different types. You've got japonica, which are the huge camellias, and I have at least 10 or 15 planted throughout the front yard and around here in the back. And then, because I was president of the Southeast Alabama Camellia Society, so of course I have to show my loyalty to camellias, but I love them anyway. My mother had them all throughout her yard. They were huge. And I just loved them. Ms. Harrison, who was my piano teacher that lived behind me, she had camellias throughout her yard. No flower beds, just camellias planted throughout the yard. And she would float them on her baby grand piano. She had traveled with Chautauqua. She would play the piano. I would learn 1 song a year and 1 piece of music a year. And then she would play for me to sing, which was the greatest pleasure I could have ever had, and it was all my mother wanted anyway. It was for me to be exposed to music, so that was my exposure to music. So down there beneath the sasanqua and the reticulata camellias, some seedlings are still coming up. I'm really going to try to encourage more daylilies there. I love daylilies, and it's fun to take the children out and let them pollinate the daylilies and see what they might come up with. I did see that one of my daylilies in the back did pollinate, and it's got a seed pod. And if I'm smart, if I were smart, I would get me a little seed bed going there behind my she shack, my she shed, which was intended as the place to keep my tools. But since I've had problems, I decided to put them even closer, so they're closer on the patio. So anyway, let's walk over my little path. Look at the little bird bath that I found the other day at Lowe's. And you'll see I also planted a couple of banana palms in here. And I'm going to step very carefully over that hose and grab a hold of something else. Okay, so now in here I think I have a lot of Shasta daisies and perhaps daisies of another type. But I also think I have echinacea planted in here as well. I've planted echinacea every place I could think of to plant it. And as you can see, I planted a Mexican heather today. I need more straw in this flower bed, but that will be coming later. Now, the newest thing that I planted here was this morning I planted a butterfly bush. I did not have a butterfly. I did have a butterfly bush. I had a Miss Molly butterfly bush. But Miss Molly butterfly bush was planted over there by the back gate near the magnolia, and it did not make it. So I planted me another one, and this one has blue blooms on it, so I'm excited about that. That bunny over there was the center of the potager on my North Cherokee home, right outside the window of the family room and where I could see it from the kitchen, where I planted a beautiful seed garden one year, and my son Drew helped me put a brick path through it. Now these are little lime hydrangeas, and they are doing exactly what I had them planted to do. PC's Nursery came out and helped me get that done. They also tilled up these flower beds that I have around and started them really well with mushroom compost. So they probably need some more about now, and I'm kind of thinking I'm going to do chicken manure from Dothan Nurseries. They've got bags of that. Okay, that little bed right over there was seed planted to be a pollinator garden. Now there's one of the topiaries I found. This one was at Home Depot. They had several different topiaries at Home Depot. Look here at these lilies in this flower bed. These are all from the bulbs that my dear friend Mary, who was also my housekeeper, I was really blessed to have her help me raise my children. She gave me some bulbs there, and my dear friend Betty Peters was over the other day, and she said, "Oh, you've got the 12 apostles there." And I said, "What?" She said, "That's what they call those lilies, because they have 12 blooms around them." I did not know that. Now I do. So I tried something else in this big yellow pot that I've got, and it did not do well, so I moved it. Those blue bottles back there beside the turquoise sofa, which was some more cushions that I bought, replaced the green ones. Those were the centerpieces for the tables for my youngest daughter's wedding that we had, the reception at our house on North Cherokee. It was beautiful. The flowers were beautiful and looked really good against that blue. These little metal critters that are around here, I went into Home Goods one day, and I guess you can tell that they captured my eye, and I came home with a few of them. We've named them. I think that's Colette there, the bird. And then the professor is around here somewhere. I think he's over there behind the patio. And then this is Oliver, the caterpillar there. Cute little things. Okay, so those roses that I moved found a new home. One right over there, and I think that's Queen of Sheba, and I hope it'll do well. And then I moved Ancient Mariner, I think it is, right over here into this flower bed. It's near the butterfly bush, but we'll see. As you have seen, things can be moved and will be moved. I want to take you over here and show you this little flower bed. Things I'd plant over here would rot because it seems like this little area stays very wet, and I don't know why. But I think maybe it's only the left side that stays wet, and the right side stays drier. So I have to water these hydrangea that I've started in here. These are Blushing Bride, and these caladiums are some that George helped me plant. And these are amaryllis here. I also have a couple of agapanthus in here. I think that's an agapanthus. These are blueberry bushes that have had a hard time getting started here. So maybe with the bunny rabbit over here, they'll like it better. So these are giant iris that I found at Lowe's. And that is Bird of Paradise down there on the end. I think I want to plant a honeysuckle across this fence. And I have decided that instead of buying poinsettias at Christmas, I'm going to start buying amaryllis. Because the poinsettias, I mean, they don't do anything after Christmas. They just kind of die back there at Christmas. Look at that hibiscus. That is Molly's favorite plant now in Mimi's yard. And these are, they're pollinator plants right here that I planted in here to try to give it a chance. And now they're just kind of overshadowed by the other flowers that I planted. That is an agapanthus down there. The only one that survived my planting here in this garden. I think maybe it was too wet for it. Let me let you peek out the door here because I'm so proud of the look here. Just hold on a minute. I was inspired, I think. I needed another parking place, so I had all this gravel done. Look at the Pride of Mobile azaleas there with the miscanthus. And down there at the foot of the hill is gravel. Of course, it's the parking area. More camellias. That is a bench that I mosaic with pretty blue tiles. And of course, that's a Japanese maple down there. So I just want to show you that we do have azaleas in this garden. And this is holly. They're very pretty. Holly. Look how much they've grown. You can see with the light leaves, like colored leaves there. That's new growth. Okay, here we go back in here. And so this turned out very pretty. I'm proud of how this is done. And I told you that was a viburnum, I think. So we have two viburnum. This one here, this one in the very back. So now when I cut back these funiculata hydrangeas, these little lime hydrangeas, maybe the light will get back there to those camellias, and then we'll have that color during the springtime. So, and that's the way this looks going back. So now I'm going to take you around the side here so you can see the work area, which is a place in every garden that's necessary. I think you can see here that I'm trying to get what I call border grass because my mother had it around every flower bed in her yard. She was quite the gardener. Now let me tell you, here's a camellia that I'm trying to nurture into health. And there was a lavender that survived. And this is another constant gardener, David, what's his name? I can't remember it right now. But anyway, so I bought over the internet miscanthus grass. And I paid, I guess, $1 for every sprig. And this has been in the ground for, I guess 2 weeks. And look how it's already bunching up. My grandson George helped me with that, plant it. I've got one of those DeWalt drills with the auger to plant bulbs and stuff, and so we used that. There's the 12 apostles. There's Colette. And look how pretty that blue is. But let's go around this way so you can see the work area. I wish I had greater access to it, and then I could get, you know, delivery on things like mushroom compost and stuff like that. But, you know, when you get as old as I am, sometimes it's better to let somebody else do it for you. Now this is a wonderful equipment back here. This is a wagon my grandsons left at a house in Panama City Joe and I once owned. There is a portable stool thing that's supposed to help me in planting. Now right back there is a double stroller that my children tease me, saying that I used to tie the grandchildren in it, but it's really well, it was used and it didn't have all the pieces, so you do what you can get it do. But I can haul like mushroom compost and maybe some bloom starter or something in the back, and go plant them around the yard. And there's my composter back there. I'm not very vigilant, and I saw something about a worm something that worked really well by your back door for composting. Had to buy me a new wheelbarrow. The other one wore out. And there's our big pan that was hanging on the back wall of my house over at North Cherokee. When we moved in, I guess it was my mother-in-law's, and it's what I use to hydrate plants. When I buy them, I'll fill it up with water and put the plants in there and let them get good and wet. All right, now this is a good idea, but I have not used it to its full potential, and I do plan to do so. So, now this right here was something that Joe bought many years ago, maybe 20. And it's steps, or it's a hauler. It's got many purposes, and we've used it. We wore one out. So here's one of the camellias that I came home with from the Camellia Society, Gulf Coast Camellia Society. That's aspidistra back there, and it's one of my favorite plants because it reminds me of my mother's yard. She had a big fig tree with bunches of aspidistra growing beneath it. And I took a lot of that aspidistra and I planted it in a very shady area over at our other home. Okay, look at the magnolias, how they're blooming back here, the shady area. There's my pretty new cushions there on the sofa, and this has turned out really well. I had a pergola added to the playhouse that was once here. As you can see, I have very shallow steps going up and down, and those are agapanthus that I found in the back of a flower bed and divided them up, and hopefully they're going to grow over there in that flower bed. The one where I put I think it was Queen of Sweden, in that flower bed. Look at this beautiful hydrangea. It was very pretty when I first got it. Hopefully it will live and prosper and be as pretty as these are. These just automatically come back, and as you can see, one has already rooted there. I need to do something in this bed. I have been told that that's Virginia creeper, and I see in England that they actually like Virginia creeper because it's got big leaves. Now the Virginia creeper is creeping up all the trees. I'm not sure that's such a good thing, and if any of you want to comment, I would love to hear your comments. Okay, that is Confederate jasmine there on the left, but it's got a lot of Virginia creeper going up it, I think, and this is the constant gardener, but neither of them have done as well as that Virginia creeper up there in the rafters on the chicken wire that I put up there to grow my roses over. So looking forward to seeing some new growth on that. Now when we moved into this yard, We had clumps of this, I don't know, is that variegated miscanthus grass? And I divided it. All right, we moved in 2019. It's 2013. That's 4 years. It's had time to grow, and this is how much it's grown in 4 years. Lowe's had a sale on these azaleas here, so I brought them home with me because I'm trying to incorporate more azaleas here in my planting. Those are natural. They are native azaleas back there, but there are also some white George Tabor azaleas back there. This is a Japanese maple that I just like the shape of it, and so that's why it's there. Cecily gave me the beautiful peacock, my oldest daughter. These are our hydrangea that have grown from cuttings or just popping up or whatever, but they're doing well. This fern has just spreaded itself all over. You see I planted the elephant ears back there, and I'm going to take this elephant ear right here, which is huge, and plant it over there where the giant iris are. I think that it would like that spot, and I need more room right in here for other things. Look at that zinnia. That's the lonely little zinnia in the fern patch, it looks like, but I planted a bunch of them back here last year, and they've done very well. One of my camellias is there underneath that elephant ear, and I've got to bring her out into the light. So I did, this was bought at a garage sale, and this has made a pretty little sitting area back here, nice and shady. So these daylilies seem to love it here, don't they? Look how green and bushy they are. Now when we planted them, Molly and I selected them, and we were very diligent about putting the names of them where I planted them, but I moved them. That's the bad thing. And so we lost the names, and I'm not sure what any of them are. Look there at that agapanthus. That's a white agapanthus, and it wants the light so bad, doesn't it? So I'm going to have to dig them up and move them. Now the daylilies here seem happy enough. At one time you would have seen this patch as a bunch of seedlings that came up. They were beautiful. If you look down there, that's coneflower, echinacea at the end. This is a camellia that I moved from somewhere else in the yard because it was not getting enough sun, I didn't think, and it's getting crowded out. So now these roses were there on the right hand side. They've now been moved to a new spot, and hopefully I think I see some shoots coming up out of it, so maybe they do like it. The other one over there seems to like it. Can't remember the names of them. I am going to have to fix some little name tags and put it there. But see the border grass around here? That's my goal. I want to have border grass all around the flower beds here. These are drift roses. They need to be cut back. This is the gazebo. That was my 50th birthday present from my husband. And those are beautiful hydrangea back in there. There's a lantana that was here when we came. So this is pretty much the July tour here in my garden. I hope you enjoyed the tour, saw some things that might have been pretty to you, and see you next video. Bye-bye.